welcome back to It's an Inside Job podcast. I'm your host, Jason Lim. Now, this podcast is dedicated to helping you to help yourself and others to become more mentally and emotionally resilient so you can be better at bouncing back from life's inevitable setbacks. Now, on It's an Inside Job, we decode the science and stories of resilience into practical advice, skills, and strategies that you can use to impact your life and those around you. Now, with that said, let's slip into the stream. Well, welcome back. Welcome back to It's an Inside Job. I hope you've had a relaxing weekend. This week, I would like to continue the series where I talk to Ukrainians about their ongoing situation. Now, at the time of this recording, it's about 13 months into this conflagration. And at this point, winter is almost at an end and spring is coming. The warmth is coming. And the Ukrainians are holding their own. And so today, I am honored to introduce my guest, Oksana Semenyuk. She's a Ukrainian who has experienced over a year of war, loss, anxiety, hope, and building resilience. Oksana is not only adept at building resilience, but she's also an embodiment of it. She shares her strategies for facing uncertainty and adversity, drawing from her personal experiences and insights. Oksana's perspective on resilience has been shaped by the values of Ukrainian society, which have undergone a significant shift due to the country's tumultuous history. As a result, she has a unique perspective on what truly is important in life. In addition to her inspiring personal story, Oksana brings a wealth of professional experience to the table. With over 22 years of experience as an HR business lead and transformation lead for Kraft Foods and Mondelez International, and as a certified MBTI professional and Barrett Values Center consultant, Oksana has become an expert in the leadership development, cultural transformation, HR function development, and the employer branding across Central and Eastern Europe, the Middle East, and Africa. She also serves as a lecturer at the Kiev School of Economics and an independent supervisory board member. So join me today for this powerful conversation as we learn from Oksana's incredible resilience and expertise. So now let's slip into the stream and meet Oksana Semenyuk. Well, good morning, Oksana. Welcome to It's an Inside Job. I was wondering for my guests, our listeners, if you could introduce who you are and what you do.
We are proud Ukrainians, or we are Ukrainians. Ukrainians who, and I'm one of them, Ukrainian who fight, Ukrainian who hopes, and Ukrainian who believes in the victory and who believes in overall fairness and who thanks the world for support. This is probably the first line I would introduce myself with. Then I have several roles. First of all, I'm now in the role of a mentor, supporting organizations and individuals in their changes and transformations. We have a lot to do. We have a lot to change here. And so I'm supporting them. Some of my roles, I'm also playing the role of supervisory board members in Ukrainian businesses.
Sure, thank you for that. So professionally, what is your major focus at the moment? If we could maybe start there, because I know you have quite a long and experienced history within human resources, HR and such, and supporting people and mentoring people. Maybe we could start a conversation exploring your professional life.
My majors in all the mentoring efforts are humans. Just the areas I'm most proficient with is just human resources, everything linked to human resources. And this is employer branding. This is working with leaders and leadership development. This is HR development, HR function development. This is also in one of my capabilities. I'm transformation lead, and I'm combining just the people agenda and all the techniques and instruments which are linked to transformation. And so this is how I'm just building my practice, advising companies, going with them hand in hand now, just changing their helping them to change their strategic agenda and strategic priorities. and helping them to see the way in all the clouds we have now here.
How would you characterize the business focus that leaders are looking in right now in such volatile, tumultuous times?
At the beginning of all the war activities, I think a year ago, since this week we are kind of reflecting on a year of war. Since the beginning, it was a total collapse because nobody believed, or mostly people did not believe it may happen, and the businesses as well. But businesses were looking at all the threats from the point of view, so what are we doing with people? What are we doing with assets? Do we have, will we have, what would be the scenarios? And all the scenarios were around the war activities in the eastern Ukraine. So nobody really trusted, or nobody believed, even the intelligence news that the enemy can come to Kiev and or be close to Kiev. So the businesses were collapsed for 3 to 4 weeks totally. They were taking care of people, first of all, and everything which is linked to people. They were tracking where people are. They were helping people to relocate, especially moms with children. So this was the key focus for a couple of weeks, and then tracking so where people settle, do they need help, and so the profits and money were not in count at that time for most of the businesses, because I was working in with some of them, with some of the organizations, but I tracked the research and also the news which were coming from different business associations. All the businesses were just taking care of people independently of profit and money. Then after a month of all those hectic, so the businesses are starting to think, so how we can actually deal with that. So what can we keep? So how can we deal with salaries of people when operations may be stopped, and when a lot of warehouses were bombed, where actually you cannot have an access to the facilities where you are in. And this was the total mess which was in the head of many business leaders. And they were starting to fix what they have, just to fix with the clear strategy: we need to survive, and we need to really keep everything we have with the clear idea of security for everybody around. And this was just a couple of months of just fixing and surviving, and just not thinking of so how we can really thrive or how we can grow. So this was not coming. And those conversations we started actually in summer. And since summer, so we are in the conversations about opportunities, in the conversations of what are we doing, so in the conversations of how the priorities are changing, in the conversations how the planning loop is changing, in the conversations how we are communicating with people, so the role of leaders, the role of immediate managers, because they were playing probably the key role to support the morale and all the mental health issues.
From what I understand is that the first priority for these businesses were taking care of their people, relocating their people, tracking their people, making sure they were safe and sound as best as they could. Once to what degree it could be settled, then the secondary focus became on not thriving, but surviving, just trying to scramble and to stay afloat, however that shows up, based on business or branch. I'm trying to understand the nuts and bolts here. Were you a sparring partner? Were you an advisor? You were listening as people were talking? Could you talk more about that?
I was in all those roles, probably in all of them. But first 2 weeks, as everybody was collapsed totally, because I was immediately thinking of, okay, what is happening to part of my family? What is happening to the people, to the closest ones in the different parts of Ukraine? And I was so much in an anxiety mode that I was trying to help myself first. And then several communities have come because Ukrainians, what they have done from the very beginning, they have organized themselves to really help the army, to volunteer, to help each other, to support each other. And then my work was as a sparring partners for community leaders and for business leaders, just to get organized around the volunteering activities. And I was helping to set up non-governmental organizations, volunteering funds, just helping to find people, helping to get people organized, helping people just to go through this anxiety mode, helping them to be more or less productive in what they're doing. But the purpose and the volunteering activities was just they were around everything we were doing for the first couple of months. Then, so the business owners in IT industries have come because they were the ones who were able to work remotely, and so they needed help from the very beginning because they saw a lot of opportunities for themselves. Ukraine has started to be seen as a platform and as a territory where you have a lot of very capable people, and just taking advantage to form those people, to put the teams around a lot of necessities for the partners abroad. So that was probably something I was also involved in, just putting together those teams together with owners and helping owners to really set up those teams to be productive from the very beginning. Because a lot of partners abroad were like, okay, guys, you have a lot of really great capabilities, but you have war and we have compliance, and we cannot probably hire you because this is so volatile that we do not know if we can depend. And there was a lot of efforts just to support teams in terms of, you can rely on us independently of what we are surviving, what we are going through and how we are surviving. So this is what we can really do right now. And this is helping us just to help the country as well.
You were saying that, in the first few months, you guys were kind of scrambling to get people organized, get systems organized, setting up NGOs. For yourself, Oksana, did you find that by devoting your energies and your efforts and actions and helping others and helping them to get on their feet, to deal with anxieties and setting up NGOs and being organized, how did that help you with your own anxiety, with your own uncertainties?
I was thanking all my days in the corporate life before, because I was just spending more than 20 years in the international arena in the corporate world, working in a very volatile environments and projects. And this has helped, all those practices has helped from the very beginning to cope and to really to help myself in terms of the very first kind of remedy to deal with all the stress, to deal with insecurity, to deal with all the missiles attack and everything. It has helped. Just basics, breathing, physical exercises, redirecting, refocusing, and whatever. And this refocusing, all the refocusing activities in terms of helping others, and this was the arena which was helping me. I was just busy with problems of other people, with problems of the teams. And this is when I was useful, when I really can help, when I can be with people in what they are coming through. So this was my probably reliances at that moment, and something which has helped me, as many other Ukrainians. Because first there was a collapse and fear, for a couple of days, I would say, for a week. And then all Ukrainians were very angry. and angry with all the unfairness, angry with all the attacks, angry with all the lies around, and we needed just to stream somewhere. And this angry mode was streamed in the actions to help others. And so this was probably this was the key strategy for most of the Ukrainians, because you have volunteering activities all over companies, all over most of the companies. This is like a part of their strategies now. Help the army, help those in need, help those who lost homes, help those who lost relatives, help those who were just wounded or whatever. So this is like a keyword: the help and support, and just do what you can do to support others if you are in more or less in the secure place or are acting from the secure mode yourself.
And from my experience working with people with different challenges, however that shows up, is that a lot of the times when unexpected change comes, like a war, we go into self-preservation mode. We think about ourselves and safety. But as you said, individuals, the society, companies, they started shifting to thinking about people. And I think one way to really tackle anxiety and stress and all the uncertainty is in the service of others, when we can contribute. And the words you said, when we can support, aid, and help others, that creates a sense of community, creates connective tissue, creates a sense of belonging. You know, in organizations, we may call this psychological safety, but that psychological soundness also serves its purpose in such extreme situations, such as you and your country folk are facing. And so I found that very interesting, what you said. You know, it was about protecting myself. I felt anxiety, but then you went out to help other people, to organize their lives, organize their business, to move from survive to thrive, to help with the NGOs and such. Have I understood?
Yeah. For me, that was the kind of key strategy to survive, because I was just totally with the other people, and I was totally taking care of other people. My strength is just to help solve problems, and I just see clearly if the other people need it. So this is something which helps me to be organized, because when I'm not busy just understanding how I can help and how I can be really the one who is with you when you need it. So this is probably I'm in total. I can be paralyzed when I'm not just doing all those things for people. But I was taking care of myself and my mental
well-being,
capacity and my mental mode. Yeah, and I knew already how I can do that, because I was practicing probably that just before coming through a number of crises which I had in my life. This is probably these were the activities which helped me to ground myself first and work with my internal, I would say, all the internal stress I was having. And I think that part of the DNA I'm having from my parents. My mom is very anxious just by nature, and so this is what I took from her. And I knew that when I was just working also with myself through life.
Yes.
And I always knew, first I'm taking care of myself, and I'm breathing, I'm walking, I'm just trying to really put all the thoughts in order, not to boost the emotional reaction on something. And then, I'm having something on the agenda when I'm working with others, and we are having a kind of mission. We're having this big idea to rebuild the country, and I was helping all over state institutions, NGOs, business community, so everybody with a clear idea. So we are rebuilding the country together, and now it's everybody's mission.
But if we come back to you for a second, you said 3 things to help you cope was sort of physical, with the breathing and the exercise and walking. And the second one was in the service of others, helping them to get on their feet, give that sense of contribution. And you said the third one was working with yourself internally. I was wondering if we could spend a few moments to explore, just to understand, what are you doing cognitively, or what kind of reframing you're using? Because maybe some of our listeners could use some of those techniques. How did you
Mm-hmm.
focus yourself? Because obviously, when we have anxiety, it pops up. We can't stop anxiety, and we can't sometimes stop this first silly thoughts. But what we can do is redirect it after they've popped up. What did you specifically do from your experience?
Most of the anxiety was coming actually from the situations where all the missiles attack happened. And so this was like, okay, where the missile can come. And there was several occasions when it was here, it was very close, it was like 2 kilometers away from us. And when you hear that and when you see all the consequences, it is very stressful. First thing is, okay, taking care of everybody who is around, because I'm currently with most of the time with my mom in a small city, which is not far from Kiev, but away from Kiev. And this is like, okay, are we safe? Are we in the place where just we are sitting? Are we safe? Second is just to get rid of habit to read the news. Okay, where the missiles go, so where the explosions are happening or whatever. So this is like get rid of the bad habit to track the news immediately, because they were coming and bombing you and giving you just more stress. This was just probably the habit which I was get rid of after like several months of being in the news all the time. Then the third activity is do something physically. I was ironing, I was cleaning something around me, taking the anxiety and taking all the fear into the action mode. Just do what you can do physically around you. Actually, so these were like first exercises. And then when the attack is over, okay, you're back to your usual routine and the usual work. What was very upsetting just to know the consequences of the attacks, because somebody has died, somebody was killed, somebody was wounded, and just to redirect the thoughts from how people suffer after that. So that was just the hardest thing for me to do. And I was just immediately thinking, okay, how I can help, what I can do. Are there people whom I know, am I just call and ask, how are you? Is everything all right with you? And so this is what I was doing, just redirecting the anxiety in just taking care, in asking others, how are they? Did they went through the attack? So did they find themselves okay? Whatever. So this is like the very first moments how I'm dealing with it. And then just walk away. If you can be somewhere in the air, in the fresh air, just go there, breathe, and okay. So this is like calm yourself down, and so we will try to plan something. Try to dream of how we would feel after the victory. So this is like just dreaming energy was also helping.
Thank you very much. And so what I'd like to do is just put a pause on that and kind of rewind and speak about those techniques, because all of them are very solid ways of dealing with anxiety, dealing with uncertainty. Because one of the first ones you said was to reduce the news intake, the doom scrolling, because we don't need that. Yes, something has happened, but we don't have to go through that 24/7 news cycle, because that just feeds us. And so I think that's a very strong recommendation. And during COVID, that's what I recommended a lot of people. Yes, COVID is happening, blah, blah, blah. I mean, COVID is nothing compared to this war, but just to use that as a parallel, because most people can relate more to COVID, of course. It's like, stop doom scrolling, stop going into that, because it's just triggering more and more and more of this physiological response. And the second one I thought I really liked was what you said is like, I just did ironing. Just around me, I was trying to fix things. Because if we can order things around ourselves, as simple as it is, hanging up clothes, ironing, doing our beds, cleaning up the kitchen, whatever, what that does means it gives us something action to create order. It gives us a sense of control. And it's amazing the ability how that actually settles down our physiological arousal. A third one is what you said is to distract the mind. And that was to order things. But distracting the mind and physically doing things is very important, because I think this is one of the major tenets of what's called cognitive behavioral therapy. Usually we think, okay, change my thoughts, I'll change my behavior. Yeah, that's definitely it. But we can also look at the other way. This is a two-way road. By changing our behavior, we change our cognition. So if all of a sudden, as you said, I picked up the phone and I called to see how other people were doing, just even if it was just to say hello and how are you doing, or to physically go and to help someone with their things. So, I mean, that's changing, that's distracting, but in a constructive way by helping others. Or it could be physically, Oksana, as you're saying, to tidy something around. Creating order around you creates order in the mind. And what else was also very important was how you said to redirect my anxiety. And again, back to the breathing or going for a walk. When we get physiologically aroused, sometimes being in nature or breathing in itself, that's what we want to do. Because if we can reduce our physiological arousal, that means we calm down our sort of sympathetic system, our fight flight, and that brings clarity to the mind. I think all those techniques are things that anybody can do without any training, but it just shows how we can either change our cognition through our behavior or change our behavior through our cognition. So thank you for that. Imagine where you're sitting now. All of a sudden you hear the sirens going off, the air raid signs, and you can hear the rockets coming in. And even though it does not hit your building, only a kilometer away you feel the boom, the shattering rumble of a rocket attack. And then ask yourself the level of anxiety you would feel for those around you, those you love, your community. For many of us, for any of us, this would be an unparalleled level of uncertainty and facing adversity. And for Oksana, this is what happened. But in order for her to deal with her anxiety, she stopped focusing on herself and she turned the questions and asked herself, what can I do to help? How can I help others? And in the service of others, she was able to share her support, her help, her expertise. Wherever she could make a difference, she made a difference. And this allowed her to feel a sense of grounding, a sense of stability, a sense of structure, a sense of agency over a crazy situation. Other skills she employed to build resilience? Well, that was to stop following the news. You get the news, but you don't have to follow the 24/7 cycles. She did something physical to create order in her immediate surroundings. As she said, I took all the fear and I changed them into actions. A third one was just to go out and get some fresh air, to walk it off, to focus on what she could control, where she had a sense of agency. And another powerful technique she talked about was in the theater of her mind, where she imagined a future. She imagined a future where Ukrainian was on top and that this war was over, and how it would feel, how good it will feel to have that experience. Oksana also talked about how the war had stripped away the small, petty focuses of the day that we get wrapped up in our day-to-day, and how it's changed values of the Ukrainian society, how it's emphasized what is important, the value of family, the value of integrity, accepting themselves for good or bad, the authenticity, the value of learning, becoming a better version of themselves. So let's slip back into the stream and continue my conversation with Oksana. If we fast forward to now, how would you say Ukrainians are coping presently?
There are two emotions which are in the air, and which a lot of research happening in the country, which are giving you the information. So there are two emotions, still a lot of anger and hope. So this is the pair number one. And the second pair is people are tired, quite tired, and but people have faith and belief. And this is the second pair. So what? And I think the combination of anger and hope would still keep you in the mode, just we will go through that. We will survive. We still have energy to really maintain everything which is around us and help all the fellow Ukrainians to really go through that. If I'm having more energy today, I will share it with others who actually may not have it now. And if I have less energy, so Ukrainians learned to ask for help more, I would say. There was not clearly in our habit system and in the menu to ask for help, because Ukrainians are very proud nation, so to ask for help is not easy. But now they are learning to ask for help more. And I'm just happy that this change is happening now. Ukrainians have quite a high resilience score because a number of institutions here were measuring where we are from the very first days of war, and on the scale from 1 to 5, they are somehow measuring it under this score. Ukrainians were always, even from the very first days, they were 3.9, not less, 3.7, 3.9. So this is like they were measuring it every quarter. And this is the resilience level, where the strongest factors of resilience were, so first, Ukrainians help others. Ukrainians have a purpose, because to rebuild the country, to be part of the world, just to be with others and to build a country which will be a civilized one, in terms of we are parting with all those, just like Soviet Union arena and whatever. So this is the strong sense of purpose. So they were united with. Then Ukrainians, despite the war, Ukrainians are in a learning mode quite a lot, because like 7 million people went somewhere, went abroad, and they were learning languages. They have shown the world that Ukrainians are very smart and creative, and a lot of people have found work from the very first month. They were not just sitting and living on their allowances. So they were, okay, just we can do something, we will do something. And learning languages, then learning a lot of just new things for them, learning how to be resilient, learning to deal with all the emotions, learning to lead people when they are in different security situations, when they are in the frontline regions, when they are somewhere in Ukraine, or when they are abroad. So these are different mental models people are in. And just Ukrainians, the learning and growth and whatever. So this was helping a lot. And Ukrainians has started to trust much more than they trusted. First of all, the military forces and the armed forces. So this is like 90% of trust. Then, surprisingly, state institutions as well. So this is the trust level has increased.
The trust level for the government and the authorities has increased.
Yeah. Not for all the institutions, but for president, and who was not supported by a lot of people, at least in my circle. So it has grown. Ukrainians started to really learn leadership much more. And leadership from the point of view of being responsible and being actually asking a question, okay, what I can do, not blaming others for what I am going through. Mm-hmm. And this is actually how Ukrainians are changing, and how they are coping, and how they are going through this war. They do not really like the word surviving, because, okay, we're not surviving, so we are standing, we are strong, and we will cope with this, I would say, the demon which is in our land.
Surviving may have been the first three to 6 months, but now it sounds like, as you said, there are two couplings of emotions. There's anger and hope that Ukrainians will come out of this, and the anger that someone's directed to this towards us. And anger is I think it's a very good emotion, because there is something called anger in and anger out. Anger in is when we just let it percolate in us and bubble and ferment, and that's not good. Anger out is when we construct it towards something. We take action, physical effort. And that combined with hope, that is a very strong value, that fuels purpose. And then, as you said, the other one is tired. Anybody would be tired. I mean, for us folks who haven't experienced war to the extent that you have, or anything like that, we had COVID. People got tired of COVID. It just wore on us constantly. But then there was the faith and the belief, however that shows up. It doesn't have to be religious, but that something will happen on the other end. And so in a sense, that's a collective confidence, because the confidence is this. It's two beliefs. It's that I can do something about the situation, as you did. You ordered it. You ordered your local environment, Oksana. You helped other people. You set up NGOs. And that also, the second one of confidence is that my efforts will pay off in a positive way. It may not be exactly what I've planned, but it will pay off. So that anger and hope, that I can see as a burning fuel. Like, it just kindles the fire to move forward. And the second one is just that. Although I'm tired, I have belief that we will come through this as individuals, as teams, as a society. It's just a side issue. I've been talking to a few people actually in Poland, and Poland has really opened their doors, and they have floods of Ukrainians. And what you said is that Ukrainians don't want to just get welfare money. They don't want that. They want to be active. They want to build something. I was talking to these Polish economists, and they said, you know what? After this war is gone and the Ukrainians want to go home, that's going to put our economy in a very precarious situation, because all this talent is going to go back home, right? I think what you're saying is what I've heard from other angles and other aspects from other people. You were talking about how the Ukrainians are starting to trust more. They've learned more. They're opening up more. Would you say that some of the values of people have changed because of this conflagration, because of this war?
Yeah, I think that the value system has changed completely. It has started with, I would say, with COVID, as for many people in the other countries, but it's just COVID plus war. The changes of the values of the people changed dramatically, the value system. And definitely, so first of the most important one is the security, because we do not feel secure, even if we are somewhere in the regions which are far away from the front line. Or so when a lot of my friends travel abroad or are abroad now, and when they cannot feel secure, they are hiding somewhere when they see and the voice or the noise from the plane. So this is like security is the basic one, which is with us now, which is important, which is a need. Then I would say the family. Family is something which is, and the closest ones, this is something which is really dear to us, and this has become much closer. For people where family was not playing a role or whatever, so they have started to take care of the closest ones, because family in the sense of immediate family, and family in the sense of all the Ukrainians. It's just like, so we are the community, family and community probably. So this is also one of the values. Then the value of integrity, of accepting ourselves, whatever we are, in good and bad. The integrity, and I would say authenticity. Ukrainians are very, very authentic and very expressive. And the authenticity is one of the values we are having, and which is with us now. Then the value of Ukrainians have seen the value of ongoing learning, or learning a lot, or the value of just being a better version of myself. And so I'm working a lot with business owners who are not thinking of their just personal transformations. And now I'm having a lot of assignments with people who are just, okay, I would like to go through that. I would like to understand myself more. And I would like to really dig in the value system I'm having and the strengths I'm having. And I would like to really just help myself in terms of what I'm probably not used using? What is the potential I'm not using? And I would say this is the core we are having. This is the core which is helping us also to deal with all the uncertainty internally. I would say this authenticity and expressiveness or whatever. So this is, you can feel it, because this is, you can feel it, you can see it, and a lot of foreign guests which are coming, they see it. And this was the part of the communication which has helped us to really to feel the strength from the very first days, when we saw the president who was very authentic and who was very direct and who was just very honest in what we are going through. So honest, I would say, after the war, because we have a lot of questions. So how everything was organized before the war, but still, so this honesty and directness, and so this is what we think. My conclusion from that actually this has helped us a lot and will help us a lot to be a part of a bigger world. And I think Ukraine is influencing the political arena and the other leaders, the political leaders, in terms of this not playing the games, but be very direct and open.
What this war has done, it's highlighted truly what values you guys stand for, and you even embrace those more. But what it has also done is highlight other values that you've taken as a society as part of your value hierarchy, if I may call it that. How do you think this value change or this emphasis on certain values will transform the society of Ukraine after, and let's say after the war?
I have forgotten to mention what has not changed. What has not changed, but which was strengthened, is the freedom, the desire to be free, and the desire to fight for independence, fight, die, and stay strong. And this is, I think, probably the key energy which we would like to take with us in the post-war world, after we win, because we trust we win. So this is a long way for Ukraine to change, because we still have lots of debates and lots of discussions how we can get organized and help each other to keep this changing mode, and to really support ourselves and the country and everybody around to really change. And I think it is starting with small steps, because a lot of, for example, a lot of people have, as myself, come from the big cities to the small towns. And so what we are doing, we are trying to change the small communities here in the regions, and just to talk to people, to help them see their life differently, to help them take responsibility, not to wait for others to come and change life around. And I think that this energy, which is all over Ukraine now, so I think it will help in the post-war period to rebuild the country, to have everybody organized in something small, even small, but something where the people can contribute. And I was amazed recently by the story of a lady who was living in the south of Ukraine, in one of the regions which is or one of the areas which is under the total fire. But she lost her son, but she's taking care now of the soldiers, our soldiers, and she does not want to leave. She's feeding them. She is taking care of them. She is, so they are coming to her house, like 10 or 12 of them. They are coming to her house, and they can have some rest, and so they can have all the care from her. And she said that now I'm having 10 or 15 or 50 more sons, which is basically, which I would like to, which helps me actually, this care around them. And I think it will be around, because Ukrainians have done that for a year already, and this is not decreased. This care is not decreased, despite of the fact we are tired. The creativity. ability to learn fast, ability to go through all the bottlenecks, just persistence. So this is something which will help to rebuild the country.
What you're defining, Oksana, very eloquently is resilience. I mean, it's resilience literally under fire. It's resilience going through the crucible and coming out on the other end, banged up and battered, but you come out stronger on the other end. Like this woman you were talking about, this elderly woman in the South, her sense of purpose was rekindled. And once we have a sense of purpose, we burn for it, such as yourself, giving back, building NGOs, helping people to organize, helping people to work through their anxieties, and moving from a survival mindset to a thriving mindset, business-wise, right? Once we can find those purposes, but I think this is so important what you're saying, because it comes back down to the values. And, Ukraine and different regions go through different intensities, but what has done is rekindled what values we actually stand for. And as you said, there's a sense of security. We need a sense of stability. Even though we're tired, we have a belief that that will come back. Another one is that connectivity, is that sense of contribution. You said it's about family and community. You said also about integrity and authenticity, how that comes out. And other things, what I hear is that as some of the people coming from the bigger city centers coming to the smaller, and it's encouraging and fusing, even in the smaller townships and such, proactivity, ownership, taking responsibility, that together we can build. And this, we can talk about a microcosm of individuals such as yourself, or this woman in the South you were talking about who lost her son, or you can talk about the small town or bigger towns. This shows to me that these values, when these values come up and we define them and we operationally use them, this can lead to purpose. And even in the extreme situations that many of you in the Ukraine are going through, it drives that purpose. And then what it fuels is other things you were talking about, is this duality of anger and hope, or this duality of being tired, but the belief allows you to find the tenacity and fortitude to continue. Is this what I understand?
Yes. Yeah. You have very well summarized it. And so this is, again, I would say that despite all the drama around, we all see that this is a unique time. First time in 500 years history for us, when the world is supporting, when the world is with us, most of the world is with us. It is a unique chance for us to stop this unfair war, which is actually for us the active phase started a year ago, but we are in war for 8 years, and probably 500 years when Russia was taking over, and which was unfair. And we were small all the time. We were small, we would started to fight, but we could not do anything because we were small. Now we are fighting, we are dying, but everybody is joining. I mean, Europe has joined. USA is supporting greatly. And I would say, what is the other energy and how Ukraine is changing? So we have part of the nature in every Ukrainian is gratitude. So this is also one of the practices which I forgot to mention for me, because I have a habit, and just for a number of years already, I have a habit to start the day and to end the day, what I'm just thankful for. And when I'm just waking up, I'm thankful for a night without sirens. Thank you. I managed to sleep for a few hours. And at the end, so I'm just, thank you for some of the neighbors, because we have done something together. Thank you. Thanks my mother, who is in her 85 years old, just mode, but she is trying, she is cooking something which is tasteful. She is taking care of me when I'm working and when I'm tired. And I think this gratitude is helping the soldiers who is with this woman in the South, because they were first, what they are starting to really do is taking care and be grateful for all her efforts when the enemy is starting to really shoot. So they are taking care of her. And they're saying, so just come and go with us because it's insecure here now. So we will go into more secure places because we are grateful to everything you are doing for us. And so we would like to do something for you now. And this gratitude is gratitude to the armed forces, gratitude to all the people around you, gratitude to your family is something which is also keeping you strong. And I was reading some of the friends' use in the Facebooks. Thank you, armed forces. We have went through this terrible winter, and thank you to all of you that we have an opportunity to leave spring now.
Hopefully, this is a new chapter as the seasons turn and things are brightening up. This sense of purpose, you can see it's driven. The Ukrainians being such a smaller country compared to the Russian forces, they're so purpose driven. There's that hope and there's that anger. And then on the other side, you see the Russians, a lot of them don't want to be there, right? But they're being conscripted. There's no purpose. A lot of them they've run to Georgia and Finland. They just want to escape the chaos. I'm
Absolutely.
Just respectful of your time, Oksana. We're coming close to the hour. I was wondering, is there any other advice you could give to people facing adversity and challenge and so much uncertainty that you would share with them or you'd like to share with them?
I think that also summarizing the conversation, I would say that the faith and dreaming energy is something which should always be with you, because even dreaming and imagining how life is gonna to look after we win or after Ukraine changes, how actually we will build our relationship and friendship with all the countries who are supporting us. So how those relationship evolve. So how we can benefit from learning from all those countries. How we can give what we can give them just to be a part of the world. I think this dreaming and planning energy is also something which should be always with us, despite the fact what we are going through. I think this can be one of the strongest motives to really be I would say, to keep fighting, keep going, keep waking up in the morning, and just looking forward to what life is going to look like after war, and what life and what the world is going to look like after war. So this is also something which is interesting. And keep yourself curious despite all the drama around. Keep yourself curious, ask questions, find answers. Be honest with yourself, take care of yourself, and just keep learning what is just happening with you. Keep learning, keep reflecting, and keep feeling you are a part of a very interesting life around you.
And I think that curiosity comes back to what you're saying about gratitude. When we have gratitude, we actually appreciate the small and the big things in our lives. But that triggers a part of us where we can feel settled that not everything is going to hell, that there are a lot of things that are really good in my life, considering what you're going through. Oksana, thank you very much for your time. I found this conversation to be very inspiring, very motivational, actually, even though we were talking about a lot of heavy things. I think, your pragmatic outlook and your how you, as you said, curiosity, you learn, contributing to others, helping others, how you've taken responsibility for your own emotions and thoughts and not gone down the rabbit hole of anxiety all the time. I mean, we all do, but you're able to pull yourself out and to find something constructive to focus on. For me, that is quintessential. It is the definition of resilience. And this is what pretty much the podcast is all about. And it's talking to individuals like yourself that inspire me to continue this conversation. So thank you very much for such a brilliant and eye-opening conversation.
Thank you. Also feel part of the mission to really talk to a lot of friends and people around in the world, just to bring the light to Ukraine and to talk about Ukraine, that people are learning Ukraine from a different angle. So just learning and seeing Ukraine from a different angle.
Yeah, and that's what I want to talk to individuals like yourself. So it's not just a scrolling a BBC app or a CNN app, that it's a real conversation, and there's people on the other end that have lives and are experiencing things. And those experiences and those lessons learned is something we can learn from what other people's stories. And so thank you very much for that.
Yeah, you were brilliant in summarizing all this stuff, and thank you for summarizing it. It was really helpful, and I think it will be helpful for people just to... Thank you, Jason. It was a real pleasure. Thank you very much.
Well, folks, that was the wonderful Oksana Semenyuk. This conversation really pulled at my heartstrings. You know, this is an audio format, but it's through a Zoom call that I do this. And when I see the other person, when I saw Oksana on the other side of that line, just considering, trying to put myself in that mental space, it's very hard. But when you see the body language and the intensity and the emotions and the passions in which these Ukrainians, such as Oksana, speak to, it does tug at the heartstrings. It does move you. It resonates with me why this podcast and why I do this is so important. It's to share their stories. And so a personal thank you to Oksana. You are the embodiment of resilience, and I wish you and your community and your family and your friends all the best. Keep safe and keep well. And thanks again for sharing your story with us. It means a lot to me. Well, folks, I will leave all of Oksana's contact information in the show notes if you wish to reach out to her. And hopefully, dear listener, none of you will ever have to experience what the Ukrainians are going through right now. But we can learn from their stories and their skills and their strategies, and we can apply it to our own lives. Because when life really challenges us, it does strip away all the noise and the nonsense, and we truly find that signal. What is quintessential, what is at the heart of what is important to life, to community, to those we love, and to who we are as individuals. Well, here we are at the end of another episode. As a reminder, if you are interested in receiving a weekly newsletter, the sign-up form is in the show notes. But as usual, if you could please recommend, share some feedback, and rate this episode, you do me a big solid. And if you could take the time, if I may trouble you to take 2 minutes to recommend this podcast to 2 people you know, colleagues, friends, family, you would be doing me another big favor. And it would help a lot to help me spread this word of resilience. But thank you. Thanks again for showing up for another week. I will see you next week when we will continue the conversation. But until then, keep well, keep strong, and we'll speak soon.